Hello and welcome. I'm Raghav, and today we are going to learn step by step from scratch how we can set up and use Docker on a free Amazon Linux system. And this is going to be very easy and very interesting. And do not worry if you have never used Docker or Linux or Amazon. I will teach you all these from the very basic step by step. So let's get started and let us start the setup process first. And for that we need a AWS account. So you can create an account on AWS and then log into your account. So if you go to the AWS website, so this is the AWS link, and if you go here it will take you to the aws.amazon.com, and here you will have option to create a free account. So you will get an option here to create a free account. You can go there, give your email ID and your username, etc., and you can sign up for a account on AWS. And once you have logged into your account, then next step will be you can launch a free AWS Linux EC2 machine and then connect to your AWS instance. Now for this particular step, I have created a detailed video on how you can create a free Amazon Linux system and then how you can connect to that system from Windows or Mac operating system. So I will give you the link for that. Let me just show you. If you search for create free AWS Linux and if you search by my name, you will see this video here. So this is a video, and here I have shown all the steps how you can create the machine and then how you can connect from your Windows or Mac operating system. I will keep a link for this video in the description so that you can directly go from there, and after creating the EC2 you can connect to your Linux EC2 machine. So if I show you my account, this is my EC2 account, and here this is the Linux machine which I have created, which is running as of now. So if I want to connect to this machine, I will select this and click on connect. All these steps I have shown in very detail in that video, so you can just follow that. And here I will go to the SSH client. If you are on Windows, you can use some client like PuTTY, and here this is my key. I will go here. Now I am on Mac as of now, so I will go to my terminal. If you're on Windows, you can use a tool like PuTTY, which I have shown in that video. So here I will first go to my documents folder because my key is there in the documents folder, and then I will change the permissions for the key, which is Linux machine 1.pem, the name I had given while creating this key. So I have changed the permission, and now to connect I just have to SSH to that system. I can just copy this command and then paste it here, and you can see it is connecting. I will say yes, and this connects to the AWS Linux machine. So you can see I'm connected now. I will just clear this, and here you can see if I run some commands, who am I am the EC2 user here. If I say pwd, which is present working directory or parent working directory, this is the directory. I can say list ls-l to list all the files and folders. So I'm inside my Linux machine here. Okay, now just to check the information on the Linux distribution, you can use this command cat etc release. So I will say cat and I will say etc, and then I can say OS release, or I can just say star hyphen release. This will give me all the information about the Linux operating system. So you can see the name is Amazon Linux, and it is an ID like CentOS, Red Hat Linux, and Fedora. So it is a Red Hat, Fedora, and CentOS like Linux, and you can see all these details here. And generally the Amazon Linux is based on the Red Hat Enterprise Linux. You can also check that by running this command rpm-e %rhel. So I will say rpm. All these are optional. This is just to check more information about your Linux system. So I wanted to keep it in this video so that you will have some more idea and some more options to check. So I'll say rhel and hit enter, and you can see it shows 7. So that means this is Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 distribution based Linux system. So now let us start with our actual steps. The first thing is we will install Docker. So in Amazon Linux we use sudo yum. So we use yum to install any libraries or packages. If you are using some other distribution of Linux, you can use apt-get. You can always check what is the Linux you are using by using these commands that I have shown you, and then based on that version of Linux or the distribution of Linux you are using, you can check what are the commands you can use to install packages. So here we use yum, so I will say sudo. Sudo is to run the commands as root user, and I will say yum update. This will update all the existing packages. So it is saying no packages marked for update, so which is good. Let me clear my screen. And now the next step is I will install Docker by saying sudo yum install Docker. Now let us try with sudo yum install, and if it does not work, we can also use sudo Amazon Linux extras install Docker. So I will directly say sudo yum install Docker, and let's see. I think this is working for us. So I will say yes, and this will install Docker on this Amazon Linux system. So when you run the command sudo yum install Docker, if it needs a different command from Amazon Extras, it will tell you, it will give you the information that what command you can use. So for me, this one is working fine, and now I should be able to check my Docker version. So if I say sudo docker -- version, you can see this is the latest version of Docker as of now, which is now installed on my system, on my Linux system here. And then I have already checked this command. I can now start the Docker service or Docker engine by using the command sudo service docker start. So let's do this. I will say sudo service docker start, and this will start. I can check sudo docker info. This command will give you all the details. If the Docker is running, it will give you all the details. So you can see here, it is telling me all this server, how many containers I have, running container, paused, stopped container, images. As of now, I don't have any container or images. In a moment, we will create or pull images and create containers, and all the information about Docker is here. What's the total memory, etc., CPU, operating system, everything is here. Okay. Now, as of now, I have to use sudo for running Docker commands. If I say docker info without using sudo, I am getting permission denied error. So for that, what I can do is, let me clear my screen here. So here I can say to add, I'm the EC2 user, and to add my user to the Docker group, I can run the command so that I can use Docker commands without using sudo. So I can add my user to the Docker group by using the command sudo usermod -ag docker EC2 user. So I will say sudo usermod -ag, and then I will say docker EC2 user. This is the group Docker, and my user is EC2 user. And now this is done, and to make the changes take effect, I will have to log out or reconnect to my instance. So I will say logout, and you can see now I am outside the Linux instance. Now I am on my Mac system here, and I will connect again. So I am pressing the up arrow on my keyboard to go to the last command, which was the command to connect to my Linux machine, and I will run it again, and this will connect to my Linux system. And now if I say if I run any docker command without using sudo, I should be able to get the details, and you can see now it is working fine. I can also say docker -- version, and everything is working fine. So now I can run all the docker commands on this Linux system without using sudo. So this is done, and we are able to uh, install Docker and start Docker. Now let us try to install and run a Docker image to create a Docker container. Now I will tell you about some basic Docker commands, but as of now let us just run this command, docker run hello world. This command will pull the hello world image from Docker hub and then run the image to create the Docker container. Before that, let me also show you. If you go to Docker hub, which has all these Docker images, so this is Docker hub, and if I just search for any image, let us say this image which I am trying to pull and run, which is hello world. So this is the hello world image, and to pull the image we can say docker pull hello world, which will pull the image from here to our local system, and then to run the image we say docker run and the image name, or you can directly say docker run hello world, which will do both the steps. It will first pull and then run the image to create the container. So I will say docker run hello world, and you can see it says hello from docker. This message shows your installation appears to be working correctly. So you can see we are able to get this, and this is what we have got. So that means our docker is all working fine. And now this is all done. If you want, you can take a screenshot of this screen and keep it handy with you, and you can refer it whenever you want. So these are the setup steps. Now let us look at some basic commands. So here, to pull an image we use the command docker pull and the image name. So for example, if I want to pull the nginx image, I will say docker pull whatever is the image name. So let us say nginx and hit enter, and you can see it will pull the image from docker hub or repository and keep it in our local system. I can run the command docker images to see all the images I have. So you can see as I say docker images, I have the hello world image and I also have now the nginx image. Okay, and then now this created is the time when this was created on the registry or the hub. So we can use this. Then to run a docker container using the image, we can say docker run and the image name. Now here we are using the -d and -p option so that we can start the docker container in a detached mode, and then -p flag maps the port 80. You can see this is port 80 of the container to the port 80 of the host, which is our machine. So do not worry about all this. As of now, let us just run and check. So I will say docker run the image name, which is nginx, and then I can say, before this I can say -d -p, and here I will give the port numbers, and you can see it is done. If I now say docker ps, this shows the running containers on the system. So you can see this container is running, and if I say docker ps -a, it shows all the containers. So you can see these are two containers, nginx and hello world. Hello world was exited 2 minutes ago, and this one is still running. Okay, so these are some of the commands, and then this we have already seen, to list all running docker containers and list all docker containers. Then if you want to stop the docker container, you can either say docker stop and give the id of the container. For example, this is the id of this container. I can say docker stop and this will stop this container. If I run the command docker ps-a, you can see here both these containers are now exited. If I say docker ps, I should not get any container because now no container is running. And if you want to stop all the containers, you can just say docker stop dollar and in the bracket docker ps-a-q. Similarly, if you want to remove all the containers, you can say docker rm and then in brackets docker ps-a-q. Now I will keep all these notes, all these commands in the description of this video. So just in case you want to try out, you can also copy the commands from the description. Then list all docker images. The command is docker images. We have already seen this. If you want to remove all the docker images, you can say docker rmi and then docker images -q, or if you want to remove a specific image, you can just give the image name here. And then you can use the command docker system. So let me show you. If I say docker system, you can see you can use this command along with this option df, which shows the disk usage, and then events, info and prune. Info will display the system wide information and prune will remove unused data. So if I say docker system and I say df, here you can see it shows total images, active images, size of the images, containers, active containers, size, local volumes, build cache, etc. Then if I say docker system info, you can see it gives me all the information about docker on this system. Okay, and then let me just again say docker system df, and now if I say docker system prune, this will remove all the stopped containers, all the networks not used by at least one container, all dangling images. Dangling images are the images that are not associated with the container. So if I say yes and say hit enter, you can see it has deleted these containers and the total reclaimed space is this much. So you can use these commands as well. And if you want to stop docker or docker engine, you can say sudo service docker stop. So I will say sudo service docker stop, and you can see it will stop the docker engine. So these are the basic commands you can try, and in the coming session we will see some more things we can do with docker on the Linux system. I hope this was very useful for you. If you have any questions, you can let me know in the comment section, and I will see you soon. Thank you for watching and never stop learning.